Well, hi, my name's Kevin Maxwell. Thanks for having me here, you guys. Um, my story is quite an interesting one. So, I don't know really where to start. I'll try to give you how I sort of began and who I became into. So, Roxy has become a dear friend and a personal, wonderful person I admire and look up to, and a cause of what all you guys have been through and what I've been through with addiction, imprisonment, violence, death, all those things that we've all seen, organized crime or gangs or whatever life you come from. So my story is a little different than most people. Um, I came from a decent upbringing. My parents had money and they were well off, but I wasn't allowed to any of it. And I was left in the streets literally. So they neglected me and they said, "Oh, go figure it out, go get your own." So, they had a lot of stuff. They were like, "I'm tired of taking you to school." So second grade, they got me a little mini Harley motorcycle. I said, "Here, drive yourself to school." And so I started driving myself to school in a Harley, second grade, little gas on 49cc. And then by the time I was 9, I was always left at my grandpa's house because my parents didn't want to watch me. They're like too busy doing their own thing, business and partying and sex and drugs, all the things that they do. And so they dropped me off at my grandpa's house. And my grandpa, he's old school, like World War II style. He said, "Here's a 38 special revolver and here's some money, kid. Go figure it out." 9 years old, he put me on the streets with a pistol. And he told me to go figure it out. So I said, okay. And I grew up in Long Beach, so not far from here. And the nicer part by Belmont Shores, but I always ended up in Northside Long Beach.
That's right.
Yeah, so you know how that goes along. So me being this kid, I had this Scarface fantasy, right? We all watched Scarface, and then I watched Blow with Johnny Depp. I said, that's it. I'm gonna be Boston George. That's my destiny. And so it really shaped my way. And so my parents had bought me a little T-Mobile Sidekick. You remember the little flip phones? And it all started with the T-Mobile Sidekick. So I go to the hood. I had some connects over there already. I grew up and went to school in Long Beach, so I've had some people that had some connects to some Colombian people. And luckily, by the time I was 12 years old, I traded my Sidekick for a half ounce of pure Coke, rock like this. So I took the half ounce, flipped it into two, bought myself a Sidekick, and then had another half ounce. And so I started there with 14 grams. And so I kept buying and selling, buying. And I said, man, this isn't enough. I said, you know what? I'm going to monopolize these drugs and I'm going to sell them to the kids in my school. So, of course,
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Even better, I'm not going to sell them. I'm gonna trade it to them and I'm gonna barter it to them. I'm gonna be like the pawn shop of cocaine. That's what I figured. And then I got expelled out of the middle schools out here. So when I got in trouble in Long Beach, my parents sent me to Newport Beach, where there was unlimited money there. And so I grew up around Newport Beach. All of my friends' parents are millionaires, some of them billionaires. And I start figuring things out. And now I'm real savvy on the computer. So this was 2003, 2004. I started an eBay store. I was 13 years old with my eBay store. And so I was buying and selling video games on eBay. I was really, really big into video games. So I'd go to the kids in school who had, brand new Xboxes, PlayStation 2s, all that. And I'd give them cocaine. I'd say, all right, let's do it. You want your first line? Give me a video game, I'll give you your first line. So they'd give me a video game. I'd go sell it online, give them a free line. They get addicted. They come back. I'd say, all right, give me all your video games. I'll give you an 8 ball. And so I'd take all their games for what an 8 ball cost me $50. I'd take their games and sell it for $500. So I was making $500 a day at 13 years old. So by the time I was 14, I had a 7 Series Beamer. I was doing good in school. I had my pistol. I had my drugs. And by the time I was 15, I had my own place. And so my parents and I basically said, "C'est la vie, goodbye. I don't need you guys no more. I'll do it myself." So I had the wrong mentality. I always wanted to be a businessman like how I became eventually several times over, but I grew up in the streets. And so that's all I knew. All I knew was how to hustle. All I knew was how to buy and sell. All I knew was how to import and export. Now I knew it on a little bigger level. I always went to school till I got expelled. I always had 4.0. I always had straight A's. I never had to study. I went to college. I got my master's degree in college in abnormal psychology. I went 11 years to college. So I'm well educated, well versed. Before I had a bunch of felonies, I had many, many professional licenses in insurance and commercial real estate and all types of industries. And I've done wonderful things in business. I made people millions and millions of dollars legally and very illegally. So as I went through this voyage, now I'm 15, I get expelled out of school. Uh, One of the teachers is talking shit to me and this kid. So I brought my gun to school and I took a bullet and I pulled out of my back pocket, uncocked the gun, and I took the bullet and threw it at their face, bounced off their face. I caught the bullet and I said, "You're gonna do that shit again, I'm gonna smoke all you in here." So I got expelled out of high school forever. They said that was it, you're not allowed back in high school. So I was still, I was like, man, I need to make money though. So I found a loophole. You could, even though you're expelled from high school in California, you could get a California high school proficiency exam, and then you could go straight to college. So I said, perfect. And I'm smart. I took the test. I passed it with flying colors. I went to college and enrolled myself at 16 years old. So I asked my parents to send me to school, even though they had all the money. They said, no, we're not paying for your college. Pay for it yourself. So I said, all right, I'm going to put myself through college. I'm still going to trap and I'm still going to do my thing. And I'm going to go to school and I'm going to open a business and I'm going to try to have a family and all these things. So, long story short, by the time I was 18, I had already moved quite a few things. And I'd owned quite a few things, my own place, my own house, my own assets. And now my connections had evolved, obviously, through all these years. And so I started going down to Mexico, all over Mexico, and started making other connections. So the drugs turned into gun connections. And so once I found, everyone has the supply down there for the drugs, but I have the supply for the guns. Because me and my friends and associates and the business people that I work with, they're very, very connected. And they could get anything they want off one phone call in 1 second. So for me, it was nothing to get, a truckload of guns shipped to me of AR-15s, 300 blackout rounds, 30 round clips, full auto option. It was very easy. And I was getting those for $500 a piece, printed ghost gun and shipped to me right there. And so what I did eventually was I turned that into a negotiation and started shipping the guns to Mexico and getting labor in return to help progress all my business ventures. And then now while this was happening, oxycodone and oxycontin and Adderall were very, very popular drugs. So knowing Purdue Pharmaceuticals, who are a really good client of mine, I went and got a contract with Purdue. And so with Purdue, now I have access to every single pharmaceutical you could imagine, unlimited, unlimited with thousands and thousands of, and I'm legally allowed to distribute them due to my company safe referral that I had and send them out to doctors. And we created pill mills and addiction. I got overly addicted. I can't tell you how many times I overdosed, hella times on almost every drug. So I was a drug enthusiast and a drug obsessed person, like how a lot of us addicts are. So throughout all this time of business and trapping, I had been doing every drug I can imagine, but particularly opiates and benzodiazepines, Xanax. I love that Norcos. I love that. I'll take like 10 Xanax, 10 Norcos, would drink some lean, take 10 dabs, and then a 6 pack of beer just to start my day every day. So it was it was hardcore. So they talk about the addiction part of things, right? I was so addicted, I would just black out for weeks, months at a time. I mean, I'd be holding $1 million meeting. This dude just flew down from Dubai to meet me out on the Versace glasses I just bought, $1,000, and I slip fall, crack my face on the floor. The dude flies away in his plane, says, "You're a joke. We're not going to do the deal." I was fucked up beyond belief. I couldn't even talk and hold myself. So, as these things happened, right? It wasn't all fun and games. Tragedies happened. People died that I loved. I lost a daughter. I lost two wives, which, that was for the better, definitely for the better. I have a third one, which is amazing. My love that I love in the audience. So, yeah. And, she means the world to me. And she is part of the recovery and the inspiration that's gotten me here, along with her and wonderful people like Roxy. So I'm talking about the darker times, but it gets much darker. Okay. And then I'll talk about the more positive times, hopefully. So as I'm on this roller coaster, I'm in my early 20s now, and hella shit's happened between then and when I was a teenager, but it gets a lot more interesting here. So this is the first time when I became a multimillionaire, self-made. And the first time I was just a millionaire, and the second time I was a multi. And so the difference, as you guys know, with multimillionaire, you could do a lot more things. Anyone could be a millionaire, but can you have multi-millions in cash to change people's lives? To me, that's a lot of power. And at 24 years old, I didn't know what to do with that power. So what happened was I was a therapist, just shut down all the drug stuff, went through a lot of recoveries. I'd relapsed like 10 different times. And I met this guy who was an office furniture CEO. His name was Mark Steinberg. Rest in peace, he died in front of me of suicide. But Mark Steinberg changed my life. And when I was 25 years old, he changed it for the better. And I couldn't fully get out of the bullshit I was in. I'll explain that. That's where my real rehab, hardcore rehab came in. So I fully got sober and quit everything. But I want you guys to know the moral of this story is, and I'll get to this part later, 2 years ago, I had a lot less than everyone in the world and in this room. I was just got off a level 4 yard, went to a level 3 in prison, had negative $4.5 million and a lot of bullshit behind me. So I'm going to go back to that. Now, going back 10 years ago almost, when I met Mark Steinberg, it changed my life. So I was his therapist. I was doing psychology. I was doing what hopefully I'm sharing my story and motivating, inspiring people here and relating to you guys. I was trying to do the same for Mark before he died. Now, he was paying me a salary to help him, but him and I ended up being really close and became really good friends. And I really looked up to him as a mentor and a businessman and a person. I thought he was amazing. Besides his addiction, which is what killed him, unfortunately, I couldn't get him to stop the alcohol. I couldn't get him to stop the pills. And I helped him with one suicide attempt. And the second one, after he had started to lose his empire due to people stealing and destroying his life the way that they did to me several times. He cut himself face to face, pulled the skin over his head, and locked himself in his mom's balcony, jumped off the balcony in front of his mom and I, broke his back on the floor and had a heart attack and died. It was really freaking sad. This dude used to be worth $100 million, and he died almost a broke man. It was really, really sad what I saw happen to him, and I couldn't save him. I did my damn best. But a year and a half into that, I learned a lot. I learned a tremendous a lot. And I already had the knowledge from the eBay store, the connections, the buying, the selling, the internet prowess. I already knew contracts, negotiations, college. I had a lot of experience. I wasn't an expert designer like how I am now, or author, or these different allocates that I accomplished later, but I was pretty damn skilled to do his job. So when he died, I got his cell phone. And I called everyone in his cell phone, which was all the top CEOs of the whole United States of America. You wouldn't believe who was in his phone. It was mind blowing. And I invited him to his funeral. And I was the only one. His family didn't even want to hold the funeral for him. That's how cold people were to him. They didn't even want to give him a funeral. And I held his funeral. I held the wake. I honored him in Newport Beach, where he was from, right on the water. And I spent the little money I had to do that and give my respects to my mentor that died. Well, all the people that came to that meeting were very important people, and they really respected me as, a 25-year-old man doing this for someone that wasn't even related to me, just out of love and appreciation. And they had all made millions of dollars with him, so they all really liked him. They were more his family than his own family. And so they said, "Hey, Kevin, we would like to work with you. We know that you helped Mark out, that you've been around, that you've done good business, and you sort of understand the business by now. We mind if we throw you some deals?" So long story short, I said, great. And then Metro PCS was the first one that called us as our client. Then we did Apple, and then we did Mitsubishi, and it goes on and on from there. We just started growing and growing. So I got this reputation as being a really good liquidator. So what I do, I dismantle high rises, skyscrapers, the biggest campuses in the buildings in the world, and I make everything disappear at no cost or little cost to people. So people call me when big things are needed, or when they're in a jam, or want to save a lot of money, or want to make something just disappear. They call me, and I've always been known for that. So now I get calls from the biggest giants in the world to do this. Well, with that, before my recovery, when I was on Xanax every day and pills and all that stuff, this was 2017 when the big fall came. And I'll lead you through this. So just 6 years ago, I was at the top of my game. I had this company called Matrix, and it was untouchable. I had like a cult following of people, not even in a good way, but had 100 people in black shirts around me at all times, with this tattoo, the Matrix tattoo that's still on me, and I have a whole bunch of other tattoos you can't see. but tatted on their face, on their neck, on their body, and they were like soldiers with me. AR-15s, black cars following me. I'd be in a car driven by three women, all different races, and they'd be strapped with all their purses, and I'd be in the back just smoking a blunt and working on my computer Wi-Fi in the Audi, making it rain for everyone and just getting followed around like a president. So I had this big illusion that I was some big hotshot person that I really wasn't. Like, regardless if I was a made man or where I come from or who my family is or this or that, that's neither here nor there. I thought I was my own individual thing and that I was more powerful than anyone. No one could stop me. If they get in my way, I would just kill them. That's really how I thought. And it was the wrong way to think. A lot of people got extremely hurt that way. But none by my hands, really. Technically, but even though I have all these charges, I'm still a non-violent criminal. But you know how that works. A lot of violence has happened around me. I'm just got lucky to be well spoken and know the law really well, or I wouldn't be standing here even myself. And even with all that, though, the charges came down on me. The indictments came down, this, that. There was the feds versus the state, and the state wanted it more than the feds, and this and that. And I was laundering, I was expert, I was importing people and doing this and sending guns and drugs. And I had this furniture mafia and empire and all these things, and, unlimited cars and property and trucks and big rigs with billboards with my name on it, all kinds of stuff. It was wild. And, you know, one gun got me screwed. One stupid gun. I had an arsenal of guns. An arsenal about half the size of this room, fully stacked the whole entire wall with over 100 different guns of all calibers and sizes. And I loved guns. I was going to have guns tatted on my hips. I just love them. But now I can't even ever possess one again. And so I liquidated the Children's Hospital of Orange County. And the president at the time said, "Hey, Kevin, if you could get this fingerprint touch button safe out of the hospital, we need it cleared for construction. It's yours." So me with 15 guys, we got the safe out of there with the crane out of the hospital. It was huge. It was encased in the whole room. It split apart in four pieces. It was wild safe. But I'm a liquidator, so I pulled the safe out of there and I ship it directly to my warehouse. I blow out two of my bathrooms in my warehouse and I make a fingerprint touch button like safe, like I'd always dreamed of, like a Boston George or a Scarface safe. I thought that was me. So my ex-wife, the plan was this. Okay, I had about 12 restraining orders on me at the time from people that were really scared of me. But I told them, if you wanted you dead, you'd have been dead. There's no point in your restraining order. But regardless, they put them on me. And I couldn't have guns anymore. So because those restraining orders, it created this huge investigation. So this is what happened. I figured my receptionist, my wife, my truck driver, and this other partner were all in to get me killed. And I was almost sure of it that I was going to get whacked. I was pretty much almost happened. That's how this whole case happened. So I planted a seed in their head, being the psychologist that I am. I said, "Hey, I have $1 million in my safe, wife. I have $1 million, ex-wife. I have $1 million in my safe, assistant, truck driver." And so they all started hearing about this $1 million safe. And I had this big ass safe in my house, but the trick was there was nothing in the safe. It was completely empty. I just wanted to see who would come get my safe so I could go ahead and kill them. That was my thoughts, or else they were going to kill me first. So I was setting up a trap to set myself up in a trap. And it worked. But unfortunately, it's what caught me in my case and got me screwed. But it's also what got me into recovery and was the biggest, in turn, disguise of a blessing that I've ever seen. And so when this happened, out of all the guns, there was only the one unregistered gun. And it was the one that my ex-wife forgot to register when I gave it to her for a Valentine's Day present. And of course, when they hit the safe, it wasn't her gun. It was my gun. And then, of course, I had threatened someone with a gun. And then when I had only $1 million bail, I bailed out on $1 million. And then I supposedly held up all my witnesses in their houses and threatened them not come speak to my trial. So I got a bail enhancement, all these extra charges. Now I'm looking at 30 plus years, 21 felonies. So they're offering me all these crazy deals, 15 to 20 years, 3 strikes, this and that. It was freaking crazy. So I get rearrested and I come back. And when I got rearrested, I got played by my current ex-wife. She knew I was going to get rearrested. She set everything up. She took all the money, shut down the business, sold everything while I was in jail. They raised my bail to $6 million. She wouldn't allow me access to my money. And then she said, pretty much, you're stuck in there, go to trial, good luck, fuck you. And then she spoke on me to save her own ass. And so my own wife at the time came on the stand, testify against my ex-wife came, she called my ex-wife to come character testify against me. And 20 witnesses of anyone I've ever had disagreement in my life came to testify against me. And all the police I've ever had an encounter with, and all of my witnesses in the trial motions of the 401, Tim is perfect. They weren't allowed in. So of course I had 4 people on my side. They had 20 something. It was a one-sided trial. I tripped out in the trial. I got up. I spit on the DA's face and I said, "Fuck you. Take me to jail. Give me the max sentence. I don't give a fuck." And I went 5150 in there. They had to tase me, throw me down. I stopped my own trial. Went to a mental hospital. Went 5250 because I knew how to do that. And then once I went 5250, I got another trial. Anyways, through the other trial, I got convicted anyways. And I was going through the whole mental health thing because I do have severe mental health, super severe, but I have it all under control now. But if I let it get out of control, such as with Xanax or drugs, all the mental health is back. So that's why I stay away from that all now. So what do I get? 11 years and 4 months sentence. In 2018, sentence boom with 3 strikes. Also fucking pissed. And I go straight to a level 4. Being me, who's never been to prison, who bails out of county jail every time, that was hardcore. And the AB and the white people that I had to roll with, they don't take well to guys like me. And they don't like pretty boys and people that come from the streets and aren't from, you know how it is. They will fuck with you. It's fucking hardcore. So, but I come from a really violent background, and I'm all about the violence. I've fought my whole life. I've trained my whole life. I've used weapons my whole life. I come from that. I believe in that. I love fighting. So I survived just fine in there. And when I finally proved myself to those people, I earned their respect in there. And then they found out who I was and what I could bring in, and I started sending things in. And then things happened, and then, long story short, I lived okay in there. I survived. I wasn't even validated, but I had the keys to where I was at, and people respected the hell out of me. Why? Because I had the connects. And that's all that matters. And so while I was in there, I studied and I learned. I went to college again. I got time off. I wrote Governor Newsom letters. I had attorneys on the streets working for me. I had my people working for me. I had advocates working for me. I did every single thing to ensure all my unjust convictions. So, long story short, after a huge case of appeals and a bunch of 602 motions and a bunch of Sacramento motions and warden review and all these things, they let me out 7 years, 4 months early. And they said, "Kevin, you've been guilty of a few of these things, but all the rest we're just going to let go and you're going to get your early release on Prop 57. And based off your appeal, you have time served." And they let me out 7 years early. And it was the best thing that I could ever imagine happening to me. And, it didn't happen to me though until I gave up the drugs, until I gave up the violence in there, until I gave up everything. And all I did was study all day, work out, pray, recover myself, go to groups like this every single day. I was in every single group that was there. I even created groups and pioneer groups like Prisoner of Peace that's still in prisons and is spreading like wildfire. And now my passion is to give back to people like that. So I'll try to make the last few minutes short and wrap it up. But the cool part where this all happened, right, a year and a half ago, is before I met my 2 years ago, let's put it this way. August 25th is when I got out. 3 days from today will be 2 years of me being out of prison. I haven't even been out 2 years yet. Okay? In 2 years, I started in my house in Norwalk. I just had renters. I kicked out the renters. I just had a little place. I couldn't afford the mortgage. I was splitting it with my friend. I had in front of me his hours of labor, and with 10 chairs in the tent in my backyard, I turned that into 100 chairs. I turned the 100 chairs into a steam cleaner. I used the steam cleaner to clean enough chairs to get a van. I used the van to do enough deliveries with the steam cleaner and chairs to get myself a showroom. And I got a little 2,000 square foot showroom, and that's when I met Roxy, actually. And so Roxy was one of my first clients ever in the showroom. So right before her, for like 3, 4 months, I'd been selling out of my house. I had my website, I had my ideas, I had the things going. Then she came, and then I came here and we did a little small job right here, actually next door to the cubicles. And that little job helped out quite a bit back then. I took that little job, I think it was like $5,000, the whole job we did. It was really small, but that was a lot of money to me back then. So I took the $5,000 and I invested it, every single dollar. I paid myself $500 for gas and to get around for food for the week. And I took that and then I bought Karma Automotive right here for $5,000. So they gave me 75 cubicles for $5,000, and I sold those 75 cubicles for $25,000 within a week. So I took that 25,000 within that week, and then I bought three more deals at about 7,500 each. Now I got some chairs, I got some height adjustable desks, and then I got some more cubicles. I sold those within a month to 100 grand. So now this is, a little over a year ago. Took the money from the showroom, invested that in a bobtail. I got the 20-foot bobtail. I used the bobtail with enough deliveries and movement in and out of there and small liquidations to get another one and another one, and then a high roof van. And now I got my distribution center. And from the distribution center, we moved that thing in and out so many times. And mind you, this is all with legal stuff, nothing even illegal this time. And we worked, yeah, it's fucking crazy. So this time around, we moved stuff in and out. We got a second warehouse, we got a second showroom, and then now a manufacturing facility. And within a year and a half, I've been able to give jobs and help out and inspire and employ over 100 people within our company. And it all started from a dream, a tent, and in the backyard of my house right here in Norwalk. And so now it's beautiful. I have a beautiful wife who is now 2 months pregnant. And I'm so grateful for her. And now I mentor a lot of people, young men, older men, businesswomen, people fresh out of college. They come up to me and they ask for my advice every day. And they say, can I get in your mentorship? I get calls every day from people who want to become entrepreneurs and look up to me. And they say, wow, if you did it, anyone can do it. And that's what I really tell you guys, never let anyone doubt you or let you down or tell you can't do it or it's impossible. Just tell those people that they're completely wrong and that they're the motivation that's going to make you prove them wrong. And that has been the biggest thing for me. So I've had a lot of adversity, and people say, oh, you're a felon, oh, you're washed up, oh, you're a former drug addict, oh, you're a former mob dude, this, that, whatever they say, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, my ethics were always right. I treated people good. People like me for how sincere and how honest I am. And I do the best work I can and the best service for every single person I encounter. I treat everyone, whether they're a janitor, whether they're a billionaire, I treat them the same. I salute everyone that works for me and everyone I walk by, and I appreciate them all equally. And these core values are really what has put me in this position. Within less than 2 years to be standing here, self-made again, with a family, with people growing, with opportunities growing. I was able to donate stuff to Roxy finally, to be able to finally be able to donate and give back and put money in. It's just such a blessed feeling when just 2 years ago I was asking for help and money. And the sad thing is, no one helped me at all. No one. My parents, what they told me this time around after I was in prison, they said, go to church and pray for it. You'll figure it out. It's all right. I did figure it out. So at the end of the day, what I want to tell you too is all you have is yourself. All you can depend on is yourself. Everyone has family, support groups, and all that. But if you don't look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I want to do this for me today, I'm going to change my life. Doesn't matter what anyone tells, I'm going to change my life. That's when it's really going to happen. And until I wanted to change my life this time around, after so much trauma and bullshit, after who I was to what I became and then what I had to become again, I was sincerely humbled. Sincerely humbled. I am not the same. And I appreciate so much struggle and what people go through. And I appreciate you guys so much. And you're all your own struggles. And I get you. And I've been through, I've seen it. I've had friends and family. I get you guys 100% now. So for me to be able to stand here and give back and hopefully inspire, that's the biggest blessing and dream ever come true to me. And I thank all you guys for sitting here and listening to me.